Hello, and once again, welcome to the Glenwood Football Show featuring Coach Jason Gibson and story about the Glenwood Gators football team. And Coach, got your first win, very strong against Calvary Christian. You want to speak about that just real quick about how you felt like overall your team did?
Well, I mean, it was a game we had to have. You know, plus it's kind of a rivalry, kind of. I don't think it's going to be a rivalry anymore. I'm not sure if we're going to renew that contract. But, you know, it was a rivalry game coming in, and we wanted to play well. I think a lot of the players weren't really mad from the Monroe game. We were really more embarrassed just about how we performed because there was so much expectation. And we thought, all of us thought we were, hey, okay, we're going to walk in, we got better players, let's win the game, and it didn't happen. And it was an eye-opener, so it was good. So I think in the Calvary game, I don't really care who was been across from the other sideline. We were going to play well that night. I mean, we had micromanaged everything as a staff. You know, just everything we had done. And we took them all to Golden Corral after school so we could stay together. You know, because, you know, we played an 8 o'clock game because we're the only school in the AISA that's on Eastern time zone. So all of our games are 8 o'clock to stay standard. So when you get out of school at 2:15 or 2:30 for 7th period, you can't stay there from 2:30 to 8 o'clock. I mean, with the high school kids and keeping their attention. So we took them out to Golden Corral and, you know, tried to market Glenwood a little bit and get them off campus, but while we're keeping them together. And I thought they were more focused. You know, we've been coming out of the gate every game since I've been here, kind of sluggish. And then it's a furious third, fourth quarter rally, and then we're back in the game, and some of them we win, some of them we don't. So I was just trying to focus on playing 4 quarters, and I thought we did a good job.
Well, I agree. Last year, the Calvary game, which was at their place, was a 5-point win, and really wasn't clinched till the last minute. But it looked like you're, like you say, your guys were more focused. Especially, I think your defense played an outstanding game. Would you mention that?
Yeah, you know, we put those guys in position. We have really good players over there. Of course, we're missing Gage Williams, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But, you know, we made tackles. When we touched somebody, we tackled them. We were in the right spots. We had a couple hiccups in the pass defense. You know, the Andrews twins are pretty good, and they're going to get theirs. But we just did a good job being physical and getting to the ball and doing what we do, regardless of what the other team does. I think we had a bunch of takeaways. We had a bunch of turnovers. And how many was it?
4. You had 3 interceptions and a fumble recovery by your defense. And of course, I keep the statistics. Mine's, of course, unofficial. But through the first half, they had a -8 yards rushing and did not have positive rushing yards till the 4th quarter when you had your bench players in.
Yeah, I mean, especially for a wing T team. So wing T teams run the ball, and to hold somebody to that, you know, was really good for us.
Yeah, you turned them into a one-dimensional attack.
Yeah, which they were, you know. Yeah, correct. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay. How about your guys on the offense? How do you feel like you had guys that played well?
Well, what we had to do is we had to simplify things on offense. I think we went into the first game with too much. You know, I'm a pro-style offense and a lot of shifts and motions and reads, and it just was really too much. And I kind of realized that in the game. We were just really all over the place, scatterbrained, and what I see in my mind is not what they see in their mind when you call the play. And I had to realize that and take a step backwards, and I've done this before. And so we took 5 plays on practice on Monday and said throughout the week we're going to rep these 5 plays 100 times. Whether it's 20 on Monday, 30 on Tuesday, however, by the end of the week, and I had a little chart and I charted it all. By the end of the week, these 5 plays need to be ran 100 times. We need to get to the point to where the guys can operate, or not operate's a bad word, they can play at a high level and use athleticism, and not have to think. There's too much thinking going on. And I thought we did a really good job of that. We kept it simple for the players, and we let our playmakers make plays. I mean, they all got involved. John Burnett, and of course, Kayleen Bonds, who got the Player of the Week from the OA News. Cameron O'Neill. I mean, they just all made a big play throughout the game.
And Kayleen had 3 touchdowns in the first half alone, and of course he
had a 4th.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in just a minute too. I know that that was one thing that you were proud of, and John Burnett scored a touchdown, and you had a lot of people contributing to the to the scoring, which I think is something that as a coach.
Well, there's still two guys. I got Aiden Rhodes and Christian Clausell. Christian Clausell is a great receiver who's going to play in college. And for some reason right now, we're just struggling throwing the ball because there's only one football and there's all these players. And, Christian's a threat, and for some reason we just can't get him the ball. I mean, he's not – he made a huge contribution on defense with 2 interceptions. He's a great athlete, but you got Cameron on one side and Christian on the other, and then here comes JB and Kaleem. And so on paper, we should be better than we are. And it's kind of a little frustrating that we got to continue to work on that. But Kaleem had a great first half. I thought he did a good job of carrying tacklers.
Yes.
He doesn't go down on one hit. He's going to make one guy miss. So that means we only got to block 10. Now we don't have to block 11. And John Burnett did a good job. He caught one out of the backfield. He ran he had a huge big run late in the game. He had a couple mistakes. He put one on the ground. He knows that. But from an offensive standpoint, I was really impressed with the offensive line getting to the people they're supposed to get to. Now that we've established that, now let's start pushing a little bit more on them. Let's start being a little more physical now that we know where we're going. And so it was a good offensive performance, and I even got a chance to get some young guys in there, and I wanted to get some other younger guys in there, but time ran out.
Yes, and in fact, one of those guys who was a big contributor last year, Lawrence Vinson, got in there and scored a touchdown. He did that 3 times last year coming off the bench.
Lawrence is a hard worker. Lawrence does every drill full speed. He has perfect form in the weight room, and he never says a word, and Lawrence wants to win. And he took a beating in practice all week on scout team. And he kept just plugging along, never says a word. And then he gets in the game and he runs hard, and he's ran hard enough to where I think that he can, help contribute in games, not just cleanup work, but in a game that matters. He can come in there because you can't see him. And our O-line now is 230, 240 across the board. So Lawrence is tough to kind of figure out where is he.
Low center of gravity and powerful too, I guess.
I'm impressed, and he's a junior.
Yeah.
It's even better. So anytime the guys are juniors, sophomores, and I always forget what grade they're in. Hey, what grade you in? Sophomore. Oh, I love you. I love you. I got you for 2 more years. What grade are you? I'm a senior. All right, come on, let's make the play.
Gotcha. Well, one of the things also that was, and again, it was pretty a complete team victory, was your special teams. I thought that Calvary, if they had an idea that they were going to come back, Navy Harris, that was an absolutely exciting kickoff return to start the 3rd quarter. That was impressive.
That basically said that I need to put him on offense somewhere. So just add that to the mix of the other 4 guys. So now, he's got to carry the football. I mean, to watch him split that and he didn't dodge, dip, he just ran past everybody. There was a huge block on that play from Kaleem Bonds. And, just Navy can play anything on the field. Anything on the field. And then you tie that in with the punt return that Cam had.
Yeah, wonderful. 50 yards.
50-yard punt return. So you start putting the ball in people's hands that can make plays. The thing about it is we got 4 or 5 of them. And we concentrate, throughout the week. We spend Mondays, we do different special team circuits every day. So on Mondays is a punt team circuit. We have 3 stations set up that we try to focus on our punt team skills. Tuesdays is kickoff circuit. Wednesdays is kickoff return circuit. Thursdays is kind of a field goal and special and fake field goal and punt return and things like that. So we try to focus on that best we can and continue to teach the skills of it, because obviously special teams can get boring. I don't care what anybody says, even though it's 1/3 of the game. And so try to put a little focus on it and get good at it. And we had 2 big returns. I think we only had 1 really big return last year with Carson Allison. He ran that touchdown back against Fort Dale in the playoff game. So if we're starting it early, guys are starting to take a little bit more pride on blocking for the guy returning the ball. And that's what you have to have. You have to have people that care about the other player. We started the film session with Lawrence Vinson's touchdown run, and so I played it and I showed all the players and I asked them, what's great about this play? Oh, it was good blocking. No. Oh, Lawrence made a really good cut. No. What was exciting on the play is when Lawrence broke through to score, there were 4 to 5 to 6 guys on the sidelines that were starters that were jumping up and down and cheering and going nuts for Lawrence scoring, which shows me they care. And when I told the team, we had 5 or 6 guys doing it. I should have had the whole sideline doing it, because when you become the type of football player where you care more about the success of the guy next to you than your own success, you got a pretty darn good football team. And that's what stood out to me in that film, was those 5 or 6 players, those starters that were excited about Lawrence scoring. So then how do you manifest that or duplicate that to all 45 players? If we can get to that at the end of the season and we're sitting here talking playoffs and we have that kind of team, we're in pretty good shape.
Well, that's a good point. And also special teams, I want to give a shout out to your kicker, who, in my opinion, may be the best
kicker in state.
Kicker. Yeah,
he's the best kicker in state.
AISA. He's perfect on the extra points,
yeah.
And even the muffed extra point attempt, Mason Hurd made up for that because he scored the 2 points.
Well, their coaching staff thought that we did it on purpose. They thought we faked it on purpose. I said, Coach, we don't even have a fake field goal. We're just lucky to kick it. But here's a good thing about a kicker when it comes to recruiting. The goalposts are the same size in 7A, 6A, 5A, AISA, it doesn't matter. A kicker's a kicker, so it doesn't matter what level you're on. A kicker's a kicker in college. It doesn't matter if you kick at a D3 school or if you kick at Auburn. Either you can kick a 60-yard field goal or you can't. It's not going to change because of the players on the field. And Thomas is the best kicker in the state of Alabama. And I would argue that with anybody. I think last year he was 43 of 46 on extra points. He is a 4.2 GPA. He's the #1 student in his class, and I think he's a plus 30 on the ACT. And he is a steal for any college because he'll qualify fully academically. And that's one of the things we're going to try to push. Nobody talks about Tom, and he plays saxophone at halftime.
That's right. He's in the band. In full uniform, he plays saxophone at the half. That was interesting.
And then he leaves practice every day at 4:30 and drives all the way to Auburn, and he plays on a select soccer team while maintaining. It's a special player. It's a really good story, and he's a special person.
Injury report. You kind of mentioned it. You have your center linebacker, Gage Williams, who's out for the year.
Gage had surgery yesterday.
Okay.
He's out, for the year, and it's sad for him because he's a college football player. He can play college football somewhere, and now he's going to come off an injury with no senior film. But hopefully I can do what I do and pull some magic and get him to a good team.
Anyone else or any problems?
Big Tater, the left tackle, Nathaniel Truspec. I think I said that right, but we call him Tater. It's easier. He's been wearing a boot. He wore a boot all week, didn't practice, and he just plays in the game. Because right now he's got some ligament damage. It's not bad, but it's a protective boot to help it heal a little bit faster. I know what he can do. He's a junior, but he played probably through 3 quarters. But he's in a boot today. He's in a boot all week. Cameron O'Neill's got a bruised bone on his right foot that kept him out of practice this week. So he's banged up a little bit. Will Smith, our starting center, I think he has an ear infection or something. He hasn't practiced all week. It's starting to add up, and we're in week 3, so it's not good. Just little guys here and there banged up. Navy's got a big swole up on his hand, and Dykes had a brown recluse sting his hand, and his hand swelled up. He missed practice last week. So just little things, and you turn around, every time you turn around, somebody else is nicked up a little bit. So it's a fine line of what you can do, what you can't do in practice.
All right, you're at home this Friday against Northside Methodist. Northside, I guess, it'd be nice to say that they may be rebuilding.
Yes.
So far, they're 0-2, and they've been outscored 88-10 in their first 2 games. Have you seen anything, or do you know anything about Northside?
Well, when I played them last year, this is my first year in AISA, they came out double tights. They had a really good tailback. And they had some strong. I think it's going to be. There's a lot of kids go to that school. I think it's the only private school in Dothan. And in time, they're going to have all the players. And I know their school is, from what I hear, is extremely, extremely tough on certain situations. And so anyway, I got their roster. They only had 3 seniors in the whole roster. And it could be a rebuilding year this year. I'm not real sure. But I don't take anybody for granted. They played us really tough last year. And they're going to come out in the wishbone, and they're going to play solid football. But I still think it's a kind of a game for us, regardless of Northside's record. It's a game for us to where we just got to do what we do. We need to block, we need to tackle, and we need to get really good at what we're trying to focus on. And then we can kind of start game planning for opponents as we get deeper into the season. I mean, right now it's just, I can draw up any play you want to draw up, but if we can't block anybody, who cares? If it's you're running power, counter, or trap, or jet sweep, or whatever, if you can't block, you can't block, no matter what play you run. So.
Well, that makes a difference too, being able to run what you want to run when you want to run it.
Well, I'm learning what we can do based upon the talent that we have. There were certain things that the team last year could do that this team can't do. There are certain teams that this team can do. And so as you start with a big playbook and you got all these plays and it looks all really cool on paper and you're excited and you feel like a coach because you got all these plays, right? But you have to go through those things and try to figure out, all right, this one doesn't work. I got a great pass, but I'm telling you right now, it's open every time. We can't protect long enough to throw it. So it doesn't really do us any good to run this play. Now, I could be stubborn. Run it again. But you're trying to put a square peg in a round hole. So I just took the other day and I threw it away. That's it. Maybe I'll do it next year. So.
And that happens, of course.
Yep.
You've got some guys that, to me, look like they can run the ball with 2, 3, and 4 deep. So being able to run those plays and then run certain pass plays will also be an important part of what your team does. Just
got to get confidence in what we're doing. And we built that with Calvary. I'm going to reinforce it with Northside. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go back and run the same stuff with Northside. I think we had 300 yards rushing on the ground. 400 yards of offense against Calvary, and I'd like to see us continue to run the ball. I think you start in high school, you start running the ball, as much as I love to throw it, you start running the ball 250 to 300 yards a game, you're going to be in the game.
Right, and even this will be the 3rd game of the year and 2nd at home, which means it's a non-conference game.
Right.
Now the next week you start your conference schedule, so I know that's important too, to be able to set up for that.
Well, I mean, not looking ahead, and of course as coaches tell you, I'm just worried about this week. Yeah, I get that, but if everybody knows what the schedule is. And I know we got 2 really tough games, 4. Once we get past Northside, it's Lee Scott, Tuscaloosa, Morgan, and Pike. And we dropped 2 of those last year. And Tuscaloosa is going to be really strong. And of those 2 that we won the last play of the game. Could have very easily been 0-4 in that stretch. So, hopefully we get past this week against Northside Methodist. And then you got a tough game against a rivalry at Lee Scott, who's probably mad because they lost last year. So.
It's going to be that will be an interesting game in Opelika, so I'm sure. But again, it's now you're 1-1, and it looks like that things are on the uptick for 2017 as far as Glenwood is concerned.
Right.
And I know that you've got to be pleased with the overall effort of your team, where they are now.
Well, the good news is you look at the score of the game, you look at what we did, you watch film, and you think, wow, we have so much more improvement to go. And I can recognize that. I'm not, I'm honest with myself. If we were playing in a game, sometimes you can tell when you play a game and you've played the best game you can play. We're not even close to doing that, which is good. That means there's a lot more room. We're going to continue to get better and better and better. And every team usually does. But our upside and our potential is not even close to being reached yet if we can stay injury free. Because you have all these kids that are coming in, you have a bunch of 10th graders on varsity, we had a bunch of transfers, and you're trying to mold all these guys to, like I talked about earlier, to care about each other and to get a lot of confidence. And when the kids that we have start playing with full confidence as of, there's nothing you can do to stop me, they're going to be dangerous. But we're not even close to that yet. We're probably at 30% of our potential. So I'm excited for what the year holds. It's still early. It's still hard for me to believe we're already going into a 3rd football game. I can't believe it's already here that fast. It felt like I just started training camp and we'd never even get to a game yet. And then now we're already in the almost in the mix of it, and it feels weird.
Well, it's the way it goes, I guess, with the season. It moves fast and quick, and you've got to get things done and completed and be able to play. But again, with those folks that are interested, Northside Methodist will be at Sammy Howard Field at 8 o'clock, and that should be, that's one thing we mentioned, that both Calvary and Glenwood had a big crowd for the first home game. Yeah,
it was big, and you like that. I mean, hopefully, next year I'd like to be able to see a Brookstone or a Pacelli on the schedule and get some of these local schools, playing at Glenwood. I'd love to be able to get them on a schedule. I think our schedules is up next year for renewal with everybody. I'd like to see some of those games, there at Glenwood, or we'll travel or whatever. But I think it's good for the area. It's good for the kids. It's good for competition. And it's good for the gate. So you got to think about all that stuff, unfortunately, and it is what it is. So I'm excited, and it's a good time to be a Gator.
Well, there you go. Oh, and Glenwood has a good team that wants to get better, and I think you can hear that from Coach Gibson, that there are things that they want to do. They want to do better. We hope that that's going to be the case against Northside, and I think that with an opportunity is going to be there. Anything else that you'd like to add, Coach?
No, I'm excited. I'm excited about playing in the Quagmire Friday night in the rain, and it's you could look at it in a bad way, but I mean, I really am excited because it's going to continue to prepare you. What you need throughout the season is to get every possible situation. You need to be able to play in every circumstance, in every situation. So when it matters, you've been prepared. Playing in a sloppy, messy, rainy game is going to prepare us in case there's one down the road in the playoffs. You just never know. And so I'm excited to cross that bridge and see how our players react and have fun with it in practice and fly around. So I'm not looking at it like, oh, it's raining today. I was excited for practice and excited for practice tomorrow, and go out there and get dirty.
Good enough. And we hope that you'll be sure to be able to watch that game on CTV Beam right here in Phoenix City Cable. And I think you'll be excited about the quality of the football that you're seeing. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Ron.